we will share this recording with all of the participants as well as post this to the BACP website. So good morning and thank you guys for attending the Chicago Supplier Development Pre-Submittal Conference that is being hosted by Business Affairs and Consumer Protection Department. I will share my screen with you guys and then we'll go ahead and go through the presentation and we'll save some time at the end for questions. All right, so as I mentioned, this is the Chicago Supplier Development Program that the City of Chicago, specifically Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, will be launching. This is the agenda that we will be working from today. We've dedicated an hour to this presentation. I don't think it'll take an hour, so it depends on the number of questions we have. But this is the agenda. We'll start off with the welcome. We'll give you guys an overview of the Business Affairs and Consumer Protection Department. And then we'll go into the Supplier Development Program overview, and then more specifically about the actual application process and the items associated with that. And then we'll reserve questions and answers at the end of this presentation. Okay, so Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. Actually, let me just back up for a second because I noticed from the beginning with the number of participants that had signed up, and we appreciate that. Great, it's a rather large number of participants, but I wanted to provide a little bit of clarity at the beginning of this process. With this program, the Chicago Supplier Diversity Program, Chicago Supplier Program is what we're looking to do is it should be considered a phase one approach where we will be hiring a delegate agency or an organization to work with the city to design this program. Once the program is designed and launched, we will then start working with the small businesses who wish to either become prime contractors of government contracting or wish to first get their contract with a government contractor. This program, this phase one, is not specifically for those small businesses. It's really the city just looking to partner with a delegate agency or an organization where we will design the program and manage it. So if you are a small business, stay tuned. Once we launch the program, we will be reaching out to you guys to participate in the program. So I just wanted to provide a little bit of clarity up front. Moving forward, just to give you an overview of the Business Affairs and Consumer Protection Department, the Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection ensures a fair and vibrant marketplace for businesses, workers, and consumers in the city of Chicago. We license businesses and public vehicles. We regulate business activities. We protect consumers from fraud, and we enforce Chicago's labor laws. We partner with business service organizations, and we provide education and resources for businesses. And so this is the department, and each of these items represents the divisions within the department. We have our business compliance and enforcement. We have our local liquor control. We have our Office of Labor Standards. We also have outreach education and municipal television. We have prosecutions and adjudications, public vehicle licensings and inspections, and then specifically the division that is responsible for this opportunity is the small business advocacy, the recovery, business and development programs. And then for your licensing needs, we have the Small Business Center. They're responsible for licensing all of the businesses that are regulated by the city, as well as any of the public way use typically involved with signage over the public way within the city. The Small Business Advocacy Group, which is specifically the division that's hosting this opportunity, we license, educate, and empower businesses to grow and succeed. And we have additional information here. Specifically within the Small Business Advocacy Division, we're headed by our newly appointed Chief Small Business Officer and Managing Deputy Commissioner, Lotika Pai. The division is responsible for supporting the small business ecosystem of Chicago, and we promote economic development. We have our neighborhood strategy team, which is embedded within those neighborhoods. They host the neighborhood business development centers and the programs that are associated with that. We also have several Chicago business centers that are located throughout the city of Chicago. My team specifically is the economic recovery team. I am Maurice Phillips. I am the manager of the team. We work within the confines of federal funding. I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of the American Recovery Plan. My team is responsible for the programs that are financed by those dollars, and we've specifically broken those into three separate categories. We usually work within small business supports, nonprofit support, and beefing up our food equity within the city. I did also want to make an additional clarification. This program that we're talking about today for the Chicago Supplier Development, it is not financed by the ARPA money, the American Recovery Plan. This is actually financed by the city of Chicago's budget dollars. So that's the slight distinction there. Um, Also, we have our supply development team, which is the team within the small business advocacy group that will be managing this opportunity. And you more than likely will work very closely with Tracy Brown, who is also on this call today. We also listed the website here for you guys to go and visit so you can find more information about the Chicago Supplier Development Program. And so let's launch into a little bit more details on the Supplier Development Program. The goal of this program is to provide targeted support to any small business owner who wants to become a city contractor. This program aims to support those businesses succeed once they become city contractors. This will be achieved by providing them with capacity building services such as business development, proposal development, contract management, so on and so forth. This program also aims to assist firms which are generally subcontractors and they will wish to become a main contractor on city-funded projects. The organization or the grantee we expect will design, organize, and execute a capacity building program, and they will also make sure that they are dedicating time to community outreach because it's important that we target and reach individuals or businesses that will want to participate. And so we need to make sure that that opportunity is being told to those organizations. The selected organization will receive a 6-month award for 2024 with the potential for an additional 1-year extension based on the project performance and funding availability. So we recognize that this program at the earliest will start in June, and then you'll have 6 months for standing up the program and launching it with the hopes of extending their contract with the particular agency into another year and potentially an additional year beyond that. Of course, there's no guarantees. It all depends on the success of the program and whether or not there's funding for it beyond those additional years. What we do know is that we are funded for the 2024 period, and that's what we're hoping to launch and get this program started. So we're looking for you guys to assist those organizations with proposal and grant writing. The awardee will inform, educate, and provide frequent in-depth workshops on specific topics for small business owners seeking assistance in developing their proposals. We also are looking for you guys to assist with contract management. You will provide the following types of assistance to these small businesses that are new to city contracting. We know that it can be a daunting task for a small business to try to understand sometimes confusing processes. And so we're hoping that this delegate agency or organization will assist those small businesses in making sure that they accurately prepare financial reports, make sure that they understand what their insurance requirements are and that they get the appropriate insurance, understanding what bonding looks like and how to go through that application process and successfully come out of it bonded. Bonding is particularly, it's a big deal for some of the larger contracts, specifically construction type contracting. We also want to make sure that you have qualified resources that you're referring these businesses to, as you know, such as bankers, accountants, insurance brokers, other business consultants who may be able to help them beef up their business plans, economic development advisors, and other agencies that essentially would assist those small businesses as they go through the process of applying for government contracting. Hi, Brett. I see you have your hand up. Let's hold questions until the end of this presentation. We'll dedicate time to all of you guys' questions. And we're also looking at from a priority perspective. We want to make sure that these are because we want to include as many businesses as possible. So we're looking at businesses that have little or no or limited experience with city contracting. So uh, we're focused on that. But we also want to make sure that you guys are successful. And so businesses that have been subcontractors and now are confident that they can move on to larger prime contracts, we are looking to work with you guys to make that a reality. We're also looking to make sure that these are businesses that have been established, somewhat established, and they have at least $150,000 in revenue and at least 2 to 3 employees. Realistically, you would not be able to become a prime contractor if you don't have a certain um, organization size and revenue that would support you being able to scale up your business. So that's why we put that requirement in for those businesses that are looking to go from potentially subcontractors to being the primary contractor. Um, we also will work with the organization, the awardee, to make sure that they are helping those small businesses with business development. Um, we're essentially looking at you guys to use your expertise to provide the tools that can be applied immediately to, make these businesses or put them in a position to grow their organization. The awardee will also help with the businesses learn and develop their skills in, accessing capital, bonding, insurance, business planning, understanding contracting fundamentals, estimating, bidding, finance and financial management. It's a pretty exhaustive list. We try to include everything. Certainly, this is not everything. If there are additional services that the organization that's bidding on this award would like to offer, put that in your application. We are totally open to that. But we at least, these are the really big ones that we typically see may present challenges to smaller businesses. And so these are ones that we are aware of and would love for you guys to write into your proposal how you plan on addressing these skill sets. The grantee will also, as I mentioned earlier, we want you to make sure that you are performing community outreach. So the opportunity can exist, but it doesn't mean anything unless the community actually knows that these opportunities exist. And so we expect you to have a really robust outreach program to make sure that these businesses are aware of the various contracts that may be offered by not just the city. I mean, obviously the city is sponsoring this, but the county also has contracting opportunities. And so we will be looking for you to be across that broad spectrum of not just the city, but also the county and possibly the state or even federal opportunities. Some of those expected tasks, and this is again is not a all-encompassing list, but it is some of the big ones. We're expecting you to connect small businesses with those relevant opportunities, present at roundtables, either schedule some or participate in ones that have already been scheduled within communities. We also are looking for you guys to conduct outreach to get feedback. We need to know how do we make these programs better? How do we reach people where they are? And so we will be looking for you guys to provide us that feedback. We also will expect you guys to be circulating throughout the various neighborhoods the information about this program, as well as any of the contracting programs that would become available. And just facilitate other necessary community engagement opportunities. The budget, and it is $250,000. That is the amount that will be dedicated to the remainder of 2024. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a possibility that this $250,000 would be renewed a couple more times. So let's move on to the selection criteria. And this is important as we review a lot of the applications from previous RFP. We just want to make sure that we stress that you guys submit those applications by the deadline. Please do not wait up until the last minute, the day of. And in this case, the deadline for this application, and I'll provide that information in a later slide, but the deadline is May 17th for this opportunity. Your application needs to be complete, and it needs to be within our iSupplier system, which is our e-contracting online system for receiving applications. Any application that we determine to be incomplete will not be considered. And again, our general disclaimer here is we reserve the right to waive irregularities, and it's within our sole discretion. If the irregularities are waived, similar irregularities and all other proposals will be waived. So in other words, if we see that there's like a pattern that's, some people, and it has to be small, it can't be something substantial. If there's a small issue with application one, and we see 20 other applications with a similar issue, we would go ahead and accept those applications. We just want to make sure that it's fair and equitable, but we do reserve that right to either just entirely reject because those applications are incomplete, or observe and see that it might be a small irregularity, and we would go ahead and accept that application. Just want to assure you guys that if we do it for one, we'll do it for all. And let's move on to the scoring criteria. So once you submit those applications within iSupplier, this is how we will score the applications that you guys submit. We're going to look at your program overview. You'll tell us the mission of your organization and how it aligns with the objectives of this particular program. We'll look at how strongly you present, how you are going to address the specific needs of those small businesses outlined in this opportunity. We're also looking at outcomes. How are you managing the performance of the program? We'll also look to see, if you made the proposal, in a lot of instances, one organization may not be able to take on the entirety of the program, and they may want to partner with other organizations. We encourage that. And so we'll be looking to see how you guys are collaborating with other capacity builders. And then we're also looking at your timeline. How do you how do you project that you will implement the items that you've outlined in the application that you've submitted? So the bulk of that scoring is the 40 points at the program overview. We then move on to your organizational capacity and monitoring, which is another 33 points. Again, it's we want to make sure that it looks like we sort of we copied, and I apologize for that. It looks like these are similar under organizational capacity and monitoring. They are the same. We will make sure that in the actual application, you will see the questions, and they're not duplicated once you log into iSupplier. So you will see the correct information. I apologize that this presentation does not have that information. What we will do is follow up with you guys after this, and we can provide you that more specific information. And as well as when you log into iSupplier to submit the application, you will see the appropriate information. Just at a high level, the organizational capacity and monitoring is 33 points. And so those two are the bulk of the points that will be allocated for this program. Your budget information is going to be 12 points. We want to see how you are costing out the program. We want to make sure that you've accounted for the cost in the program and include all of the likely costs. And we want to look at how efficiently you are proposing to spend the money for the program. We also want to make sure that you submit all of the required documents. That is important. We have had applications that have not submitted entire documents. As you go through the application process, make sure you read each of the required questions. And if it says that you need to submit a document, please make sure that you submit that document. You do not submit the document, it is considered an incomplete application, and it'll be scored appropriately. And the last amount of points we give is 15 points, and that sort of speaks to what I was just saying, is that we're looking at the overall responsiveness. Make sure you're not giving us one, 2-sentence answers. think through your answers and your responses because it allows us to better understand if the organization is one, understands what we're asking for, and two, is capable of executing what we're asking for. So if you're giving us one or two, sentence answers, then we really have no insight as to whether or not your organization would be capable of managing this program. So think through, be thoughtful with your answers. Give yourself time to answer. I would say go in and start the application. It's available. It's an iSupplier right now. Go in and start that application, and go back to it several times. But don't wait until the last minute to submit. Just make sure you read through all the requirements, submit all of the required documentation. And then these are the timeline, the contracting details. The RFP is due on May 17th by noon. If it's 12:01 p.m., you're late and it will not be accepted. 11:59 and 59 seconds is as close as you can get to um, making sure that your application is in on time. And then we will review those applications, and then we're looking to make an announcement in late June, if not earlier. It just depends on the volume of applications. It may be earlier than late June, but stay tuned. The contracting terms will be a one-year award with the potential for an additional extension based on the project performance and whether or not we have funds available. And of course, it will be based on the effectiveness of your program. How to apply? You will need to complete the RFP within our e-procurement system. We will not accept any paper applications. It has to be online. And you will have to register with our e-procurement system in order for you to submit an application. All right. So I've gone through all of the items in my list, and I'll just open it up to questions. Hi, Jackie. Jackie Gomez.
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Maurice. I appreciate the overview. Just one quick clarification question. I think earlier you stated that it would be a 6-month contract award. Ideally, it sounds like you would like to award by June through December. And then
Yes.
the later slide, it said that it was the initial contract award would be for 1 year. Just want to clarify that one if you can for me.
Yeah, and I apologize for that because that's typically what we aim for. Our goal is always to launch this program at the beginning of the year, and for whatever reason, we never get to that goal, and so we end up launching halfway through the year. So the goal is for 2024, it will be a 6-month contract. We're hoping that the organization that we select will be one that we could extend the contract for next year, a full award for an entire year.
Thank you. I have a follow-up if I can.
Sure.
And then the other question is that you said the initial 1 year funding amount is 250,000. So does that mean it would be half of the 250 or?
No, that's a good question. So we will award the entire 250,000 for the remainder of this year, and then next year the goal would be for the full amount for the entire year.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure. Hi, Brad. I see, Brad, you have your hand up. Brad, I think you're on mute. We'll come back to you, Brad. Hi, Mara.
Hi, Maurice. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. My question is kind of similar to Jackie's. I mean, if we get awarded in late June, do you guys have an idea about I mean, I'm just thinking about the quantity of services needed to, spend $250,000 in, what's maybe at best a 4 or 5 month period. Do you guys have a number of cohorts, number of webinars? I know you're looking for us to propose it, but do you guys have an idea in mind?
We do not at this point, and I think you made a good point. It's like it's that compacted timeline, and so we would definitely partner with the selected organization to see what's realistic. I think I'm being deliberately vague because I don't know at this point. We would have
Right.
to, once we make the award, then we need to have the conversation with the organization, do some negotiating, figure
Mm-hmm.
out what's realistic and see, what that number looks like. But to answer your question, we do not. We're completely open based off of when we actually do the award and what the organization thinks they're capable of and what we think is realistic.
Gotcha. And then I also have a follow-up question. Um, with the previous Edge program, the city hosted the application. Do you guys know, would you guys expect would the city host the application? I mean, I know we would provide the questions that the application would have, but would that be something that the city actually manages, or do you think that the awarded uh, contractor would host that?
Ideally, I would say again, we're open. Ideally, I would say the organization, from a logistics perspective, it would be easier for us to have the organization host it, but we're open to that as well.
Agreed.
It sort of
Okay.
depends on what the proposal is, all of the things that are happening at that time, how quickly we can move through some of the software hurdles that are associated with hosting these applications. So it all depends.
Okay. Thank you, Maurice.
Sure. Uh, Hi, Leslie.
Hi, yes. Thanks for this presentation. Just quickly, will a Word document or a PDF document of the questions to this RFP be
Yes,
made about? Okay, I thought you said that. I wasn't sure. Thanks a lot.
sure. We will provide you the video. We will also, we're recording these questions and we will provide a Q&A document as well as a link. There may be people in your organization who could not attend, and so you would be able to share this information with them as well. Hi, Rush. Rush, if you're talking, we cannot hear you.
Do you hear me now by any chance? By
I
any
do.
chance?
Yes, yes, we can hear
Sorry
you now.
about that. I had to get my mic right. I apologize for the technical difficulty. In regards to location, I'm assuming that the people that you award grants must have a physical Chicago location with office, so on and so forth. Is that the case, or how's that going to be addressed?
We would prefer that they have a physical. When you say the organization that will manage this grant, or are you talking about the actual small businesses?
Yeah,
Uh,
the organization that would manage the grant. I just wanted to confirm that a physical office space would have to be part of the requirements.
So we would like you to have a physical office space, but if you can, rent out an office space to conduct some of the one-on-one sessions, that's amenable. Our preference would be for you to have a physical office space.
Thank you.
Hi, Linda.
There we go. All right, I am wondering, this seems very similar to the RFP from last year, and I'm wondering what lessons you learned based on your experience last year.
I think one of the things that we learned last year, the way that we managed this program last year was in a similar fashion, meaning we didn't get the full year that we were hoping for, and we selected two organizations. It's just that with this amount of money, it doesn't make sense for us to expect two organizations to be able to manage to $250,000 and manage this program effectively. And so one of the changes that we made with the new proposal, and like you said, it is very similar. We renamed it, but it is pretty much the same program, and we're looking to pare it down to one organization where it might be more successful for that organization to manage it as a lead. That's not to say that they can't partner with additional organizations, but from a logistics perspective and from a monetary perspective, it just makes more sense for us to have one organization manage this. The lessons that we learned last year, unfortunately, is one that we'll learn again this year, is that we need to implement this as quickly as possible. And the delay that we are experiencing right now is something that we the city need to work on to make sure that we're as effective as we can possibly be with this type of a program.
Okay, that helps. The other question I have is, I could not find the deadline for the written questions for the RFP. What is that deadline?
It's all the same. The RFP all closes on May 17th.
Okay, so even questions that we would have that you would
Oh,
get
I'm
back.
sorry. I see what you're saying. Oh, okay. For BACP, we typically do not give you guys a deadline. I mean, you could ask questions all the way up into the day that the RFP closes. So the deadline would be, I would hope that you'd ask us those questions well in advance of you submitting that application. But in theory, we don't have a deadline. So it would be up into the actual closing of the RFP.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Sure. Hi, Avery.
Good morning. My question was just, is there going to be any intermediate communication between the May 17th deadline and the award, right? Like, are you going to pare it down, and is there going to be like a cut and then a follow-up or another presentation that we might have to make or anything like that?
No, so the deadline is it's the May 17th. And so typically what we do as a courtesy to potential applicants is we monitor the iSupplier application process. And so once you started that application, we will notice that you are in draft mode. And so we will just constantly bombard you as it gets closer to the deadline saying, hey, you need to finish your application. Your application is not complete. Because what we don't want to happen is, and we see this all the time, is that after the RFP closes, people contact us immediately and say, hey, I did not know that my application wasn't completed. And so we want to sort of remove that surprise. And so that would be the only other communication you would get from us is once you start that application process and it has not been submitted and is not complete, then we will constantly send you an email saying that your application remains in draft mode. But otherwise, this presentation is pretty much all you will get. Now, if you have questions, you can certainly reach out to us. We will answer as much as we possibly can. We obviously cannot provide you answers to the questions within the actual application. But if you have questions or you have clarifying questions, please, by all means, reach out to us and we will do our best to get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Charlene.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. So I have two questions. You may have already answered those questions. So is the city's contract period or award period, is it annual from January to December, or is it fiscal from June to July?
And when you say contract, are you talking about this particular opportunity or do you mean
Yes.
other?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
it's for us, we would like it to be, it's not necessarily fiscal, it's sort of how and when I say we, I'm being specific to business affairs and consumer protection. Realistically, it's all based off of other factors behind the scenes in terms of we have the allocation up for the funds, but do we have the resources to manage the program? And so that may delay us actually listing when an opportunity is available. So there's no hard start and stop. Except for I take that back. There is a hard stop to December 31st because we don't allow those contracts to, without a renewal, they don't go into the next year. But ideally, we would like them to begin as early as possible in the year so that you could take full advantage of that year. But obviously, that's not, that doesn't happen because here we are talking about starting this program in May. But to answer your question, it's not a hard, fast rule. The stop is a hard, fast rule. Contracts cannot not go across calendar years. The start can be at any point in that year.
Okay, and then my second question is, what is the number of awardees? Is it one,
It will
two, 10?
for this one, for this contract, it'll be one awardee. And
Okay,
then that awardee will work with us, and then we'll start, realistically trying to map out how many small businesses we're hoping will participate in the program.
okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, Diana. Diana, if you're talking, I cannot hear you. You're on mute, Diana. Okay, we'll move on, and then we'll come back to you, Diana. Amber?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. From my read of the RFP, it didn't seem like for-profit agencies are able to apply. Is that correct?
No, it's not actually. That's a really good question. For-profits are encouraged to apply. It's just generally, it tends to be the nonprofits, but yeah, if you're a for-profit organization, you can apply.
Great. Also, I'm wondering if we'll be able to have a list of those who attended this conference.
Yes,
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
sure. Ramon,
Hey Maurice, can you hear me?
I can.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. One quick clarifying question for me, and apologies, I got the flu here. So the the awarded organization to manage the program this year, did you say that they need to have at base 150,000 in revenue and 2 to 3
No,
employees?
that's the actual businesses that will participate, not the actual organization that we will award. So what we're looking for in terms of businesses that are, if you are looking to become a primary contractor, you obviously have to have certain things in place, right? You have to have employees, so you need to have revenue and money to manage being a primary contractor. But those requirements are specific to once we award this contract to an agency
Yeah,
or an organization, then they're going to start working with the businesses in the communities, and that's a requirement for those businesses.
I understand. Thank you for clarifying.
Sure. Uh, Michelle, how are you?
Hi, good morning. I am well. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions, and I first want to piggyback off of the question that Ramon just asked in regards to the requirements that are necessary in regards to revenue and employees. So I understood that $150,000 and the 2 to 3 employees is for like the person, the organization that this contract will be managing.
No,
However,
no, it's for the actual businesses that, so what we'll do is award the contract to an organization or an agency who will then work with those small businesses. That revenue requirement and employee requirement is specific to the businesses that participate in this program, not the actual awardee of this contract.
so then my question is, the awardee of this contract, is there a specific amount of revenue amount and or employee that you guys are looking for?
No, not necessarily. So what we're looking for is financial solvency because as you know that these are reimbursable grants from the city of Chicago. And so what we're looking for is that organizations that are capable of being able to fund the program in its entirety up front and then have bandwidth, financial bandwidth to wait for the city to be able to reimburse you, because we acknowledge that it can be a protracted process. We would love it to be quicker, but it is not quicker. That's the reality of it. So we're looking at those organizations that are in a financial position to manage a reimbursable grant.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, Vincent.
Hi, Maurice. Thanks for the overview and the information provided. My one question is for the companies that are applying to participate in the program, will they have to have a physical location?
Not necessarily. It also depends on, because there's so many different types of contracts that are offered, by the government, be it the city of Chicago, be it the county, be it the state. It all depends on the industry that they are in. So I'm not going to say that there's a requirement that they have a physical location. It all depends on the profile of that company when they submit the application and what it is that they are attempting to, what do they envision is the roadmap for their company. So it's not necessarily a disqualifier if they don't have a physical brick and mortar location.
Understood on that. Thank you very much. I have one follow-up question.
Okay.
Will the requirements of the participating company be published in the website?
The list of companies that are participating in the program, is that the question?
No, sorry. I'm looking for the answer to the list of requirements for the participating companies.
Yes.
Like you said.
Yes. So I think Mara was the individual on this call that had alluded to the application process. So it will be a structured application process by which we will ask any business that wants to participate to go through. And so I envision that to be an online document of some sort that says you need to do X, Y, and Z to submit. At the end of the day, will we have an entire list of the businesses that participate? I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't know what that looks like, but I'll find an answer to that for you.
Thank you.
Hi, David.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, good morning. So as a small business restaurant, what opportunities will this grant help or how can we help the city of Chicago?
So as a small, again, this opportunity, and I'm not discouraging you as a small business from wanting to partner with the city. That's great. There are opportunities to do that. The scope of this program is not one where we would be looking for small businesses to necessarily assist with the programmatic component of this. After we select the delegate agency or the organization that we award this contract to, there may be some potential to work with them as a subcontractor to provide some of the services. But this particular program is not structured where we have any expectation that the small businesses will be assisting in the program.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Hi, Sydney.
Hey, Maurice. Hey, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, awesome. Thank you for the presentation. And everybody else, thank you all for the questions. I would like to know, just to follow up, when will the answers to these questions be posted?
As soon as humanly possible.
Okay, okay.
I will, we're gonna have to regroup, obviously, and like I said, we need to clean up part of this presentation. And then I would expect probably, I can't commit to any sooner than probably Monday of next week, but it should not be any later than that.
Okay, I have a follow-up question. Hello?
Okay, sure.
Oh, yeah. Are you able to disclose the incumbents from last year's program?
Those are public contracts. So anytime, we award an individual a contract, it goes out to our procurement website. And so those companies are listed on that website.
Okay, wonderful. And my last question is, it was mentioned that the budget wasn't enough for a teaming agreement between two primes. It didn't work out as well, so that's why the focus is presenting this to one prime. Will there be opportunities to join in as a subcontractor,
Absolutely.
post-award, or do we need to try to be diligent in seeing who's bidding as a prime and partner with them prior to the RFP being submitted?
I would say both. It's a more complete package, application package, if you partner with an agency and they list you as a potential partner. But post-award, you could certainly still partner with the selected agency. So it's really both.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate
Sure.
that.
Sure. Hey, Tammy.
I'm sorry. Hi, can you
Yes, I can
hi,
hear
can
you.
you hear me? Okay. Are there opportunities for new startups to apply for this, or do you need to be established? And the new startup, if we have experienced people who have worked in this industry, would that count?
And when you say startup, you mean as the organization that
New
will,
startup business.
are you the startup business that will manage this program, or are you a startup
Yeah,
business?
that would manage the program.
Yeah, there's no requirement that it's quote unquote an established business. If you're a startup that can submit an application that speaks to all of the requirements in the application, there's nothing that would impede you from being considered.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Hi, Priyanka.
Hey, Maurice, thanks for the presentation. I have a question. You mentioned a few minutes back about timeline of reimbursement. So sorry, you mentioned that it's going to be reimbursed, the expenses going to be reimbursed later. Is there any timeline on it's going to take 6 months or after December 2020?
Yeah, because there's so many components to, we are a bureaucracy, I acknowledge that. So it's not just us approving the voucher, there's a whole workflow that each of those approved vouchers would go through. And so sometimes there are hiccups along the way. So I cannot give you a time frame. What I can say is that VACP in particular is working harder with once we identify the delegate agency, once we approve the budget, we will expect you to start vouchering rather quickly. So monthly, we will be reaching out to you, whomever the selected agency is, we will be reaching out to you expecting that you will be submitting that vouchering monthly. I think that helps move the process along, as opposed to waiting to near the end of the program to start submitting your request for reimbursement. So we want to remove as much of those obstacles as possible, but I cannot give you a time frame because it's not within BACP's specific purview to dictate what those are. We have to work with the comptroller's office, finance office, all of these other individuals that review those. And sometimes there's legal aspects, whether or not the particular agency has the appropriate level of insurance, whether that insurance is still active, and that things like that can hold up reimbursement, whether or not the individual is submitting reimbursable activities. And sometimes the vouchers are rejected and you have to resubmit. So there are a lot of factors that go into this process. And so I'd like to say it's as quickly as possible, but I realistically set the expectation that, you will probably want to wait, or set the expectation that you could bear out the process for several months before the reimbursement takes place. That's not to say that's always the case. I'm just saying that we don't want anybody expecting the moment you submit an invoice that it's going to turn around and be paid quickly. It's simply not within our purview to make that happen. There's too many other components to this that need to touch and ultimately disperse funding for those activities.
Okay. And I have a follow-up question. Is there any certification need to be eligible for this opportunity?
Certification in terms of okay,
Diverse.
no, they're not from that perspective. But any legal requirement, right? If your organization is incorporated or you're nonprofit, you have to be in good standing with the state. But in terms of
Pocket, get one of your homies.
maybe in terms of you being certified as a minority or women-owned business, there's no requirement for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure. We're down to 5 minutes. I want to see if I'm looking through the questions quickly to see. Someone asked, what is my name? I am Maurice Phillips. I am a program manager within BACP. Someone asked a question about whether or not this is 1 year or 6 months. I think we answered that. Initially, it's going to be 6 months, but our goal is to make this an annual contract. A question about can a for-profit apply? We answered that. The answer is yes. Someone said they're looking in iSupplier right now and they are looking, where can they find the application? If you are, you have to create an account in iSupplier first. If you do not have an account, you can view the application. You'd have to do that on the e-procurement website. Quickly, I'll see if I could bring that up for you and put it in the chat. Just give me a second. So I'm gonna
The chat is disabled.
put this link in the chat. This is the link to the procurement website, and you can see the list of opportunities, but you'll have to actually register in order for you to apply.
Hey Maurice, the chat is disabled, so if you pop, at least on my end, I can't see anything when you populated that.
Okay, thank you. Let me know that. Let me see. I cannot disable it. So what I'll do is I will provide that as part of the answers that we send out. I'll provide you guys that link. All right, we're down to 2 minutes. I'm trying to get to as many of these questions as possible. One of the questions was, does the selected organization need to have specific compatible operational software to house the project progress? We do expect that you will have some reporting mechanism. You need to list what that reporting software will be. once we award, the city of Chicago will work with you to determine what that reporting software or software tool is. We don't have a specific one that we're asking you guys to work with, but you will need to list it, and it needs to be something that allows us to grab reporting and progress off of. So someone asked for clarification, is this a citywide contract? Not really sure what that means, but citywide meaning that if you are within the city of Chicago, yes, this is across all areas and neighborhoods within the city. Someone asked how many organizations will be chosen for this grant. It will be one organization. Someone asks what types of businesses will be targeted. It's all businesses across all areas. We answered whether or not this presentation will be available. The answer is yes. Any talk about vertical farming and providing sustainable produce in the downtown area? Sure. We do have community growers programs, but that's not what this program is. I would encourage you to look on Business Affairs and Consumer Protections, BACP's website. We do have food equity programs that you might be interested in participating in. No requirements for certification other than you have to be properly licensed in your field and licensed by the city or the state as required. We expect that you, the organization, will know what that licensing is and would have it. So we're at an hour. I see that there were still some questions. We will share this presentation, and we will also have an email address for you guys to submit those additional questions to. We will be available to answer all the questions. And like I said, I know I have several follow-ups out of this meeting. One is to provide you guys an updated presentation, provide you a list of questions with the answers, and to provide you a link to this presentation and our contact information so that you guys can reach out to get further clarifications. I thank you guys for participating, and we look forward to talking to you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.